cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
Do you ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
All right, welcome into the View from C-Deck. Here for some Week 9 gambling thoughts and college football thoughts in general, as it's been a week that's very interesting off the field, especially as a Buckeye fan with some interest looking up north. But we're going to talk about that a little later. But a lot of action, but not a lot of ranked games going on. I think only one ranked matchup this week, right? Oregon and Utah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but as always, we'll start with Ohio State, who actually is in one of the bigger games again this week after the big game last week and the big win against Penn State, traveling to Madison, Wisconsin. Always a scary thought in late October for some Halloween action. That place will be rocking quite literally when they jump around and maybe make it fall down finally. But Buckeyes 14.5-point favorites, over under a 45.5. Both the Dyerwolf here and our man, the Haas, who did the preview earlier this week, picked this game as one of their picks. I stayed away, but since Casey, you weren't on there earlier this week, I'll let you start out. What do you think? What do you think about going into this game?
I'm a little nervous because it seems like Penn State, I mean, we win almost every year, but emotionally seems like it drains us a little bit. We've lost after a big Penn State win before. Wisconsin, we've been known to lose there in the past 20 years. I think we've lost maybe 3-4 times against Wisconsin, not necessarily just there, but in general. And we don't play them every year, so it's not like 3 out of 20.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they have a legit defense, I think. Their offense is nothing to write home about. So
the defense is also nothing to write home about this year.
The main reason I think we win is because I think our defense just shuts them the hell down. They might not score a touchdown. I'm thinking we might hold them to 6. But it worries me a little bit. We're on the road. McCord did not look good last game. Our O-line still hasn't figured it out. We got injury concerns because Day doesn't tell us anything, even though he has said he expects all his guys to play. But
same as always.
Yeah, I think we will cover, but I would not. I'm not making it one of my picks, but I did pick the under because, like I said, I think we hold them to 6, and we might only score 24 or something like that. But I could see it being a game like that, 24-6 something.
Yeah, Haas picked us to cover, both on the podcast and here. I picked us not to cover. I've kind of gone back and forth on it. I'm going to stick with that, but I think the bet I would make if I had to make one, and this doesn't go under our rules, which is not one of our picks, but I would take Wisconsin plus 7.5 in the first half, because I think if they're going to keep it close, it'll be then. If the bad juju that I'm worried about happens, it'll be then. And we correct in the second half. I could see the offense. I mean, they've struggled in the first half of several games this year. If McCord gets wide-eyed, and this should be the most hostile. No, I guess this will be more hostile than Notre Dame, I would think. Wisconsin, I mean, their fans they're a-holes, and they're loud in a way that Notre Dame fans are not. And we don't really take over Madison like we were able to take over portions of Notre Dame Stadium. So this will be hostile. It'll be rough. And I think early on, the hangover might still be there. So Wisconsin plus 7.5 in the first half, I like the best. Overall, I'd say we cover, because I do think you're right. I don't think they're going to score a ton against us, especially missing their starting quarterback and how good our pass defense is. But, yeah, injuries abound, too, on offense. You never know what's going to happen there. And you can't force feed it to Marv every time, can you? Or can you?
You might. You might have to.
All right. Other games on the slate, though, as we look in on what is really, like I said, just not that great of a schedule. But we'll go the 3:30 games right away, because the world's largest cocktail party and what used to be a big game every year, Georgia going to Florida. This is one of my picks. I picked Florida to cover the 14.5. Georgia's only been this low of a favorite twice, and they're 1-1. They destroyed Kentucky at Kentucky, but that was with Brock Bowers on the team and when they had a lot to prove for a couple weeks. Other than that, they have not been the cover machines that they were. Florida's offense actually not terrible since that Utah loss. Graham Mertz has got almost the same exact stats as Carson Beck does for Georgia. I just think that Florida's able to keep it close enough, and that half point it got the hook Right in there, baby. I'm hooked. Give me the Gators plus 14.5.
This was one I almost picked because of Brock Bowers being out there. I mean, he's like Marv for our offense, pretty much. So I stayed away because it's Georgia. I don't really like to bet against them. But yeah, if I had to, I'd probably pick Florida.
Yeah. The ranked matchup of the day, Oregon and Utah. Both you and the Haas picked this one, but opposite sides as per usual. You guys are like oil and water, man. Oregon, I think, is still maybe the best team in the country if their coach isn't just an idiot, like overly aggressive. But Utah's looked a lot better lately since they switched quarterbacks, which is why the Haas took the Utes at home plus 6.5. But you went the other way there on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you where I think Oregon's legitimate, even though Washington didn't look good at all last week.
Hangover game. Easy.
Yeah. So I think they're the second best team in the Pac-12. Utah just seems to have USC's number, so I think they're kind of that win is making them look better than maybe they really are. So that 6.5, I like that half point that below a touchdown and a PAT. So I think Oregon is significantly better than Utah, but it is at Utah, right?
Yes, which is always tricky. Very, very hard place to play.
That's what had me a little hesitant, but I don't know if their defense can contain Oregon's offense.
I mean, I'd say if any defense can, it's Utah. There's a lot of me that wants to take the 6.5, but like I said, I just think Oregon's a better team, and if they're going to win, 7's seems like a good number to at least win by like 7 or 8 points or 10, and 6.5 isn't quite enough for me. But I'm not one game I'd pick. I went ahead and picked, but I'd take Oregon, I think. But we'll see. Another 3:30 game. Oh, there is another ranked game. Forgot about this. ACC lowly ranked 20s matchup. Duke and Louisville. This game's Duke coming off a game. They had Florida State right where they wanted them until the fourth quarter and got their doors blown off and cost me my cover last week. We all went 3-2 last week, and that was one that I did not get. But going to Louisville, Louisville's been very good at home this year. Not so good everywhere on the road, with some close wins against teams that aren't very good, like Indiana and NC State. But they get the Dukies at home. I picked this as one of my games, but I picked the under of 46 here. Louisville's 4.5-point favorites. Both offenses are not that great. Louisville's defense at home is pretty nice. Duke's defense pretty nice all around. I think this ends up lower scoring, like high teens, low 20s, and we keep it under that 46 threshold.
I stayed away because I've bet on Duke twice this year, either against them or on them, and I've been wrong both times. They're a hard team to figure out. So I stayed away, but I see Duke covering this.
I mean, I don't want to. I think I'd take Louisville just because Duke's kind of beat up and coming off a tough game like that with all the momentum against them. But I wouldn't feel good about it because I think Louisville's paper tiger there. They caught Notre Dame at the right time, and other than that, they haven't beat anybody worth a damn.
Yeah.
All right, now time for a little Dyerwolf delight. This official crap-ass Big Ten game of the week. Michigan State, fresh off a 49-0 ass whooping at the hands of scum, traveling to Minnesota, who's guess hot. They beat Iowa without scoring a touchdown. Not even really an impressive feat, to be honest. Brian Ferentz, start packing those bags, baby. But Minnesota 7-point favorites at home. I'll let you talk about it since you picked it, and I agree with your pick.
Yeah, I just had trouble finding games that I was confident in, and I just think Michigan State is terrible, and Minnesota is not that bad. They're definitely in the top half of the conference, I would say, especially after beating Iowa. Michigan State, I mean, I'd have to look, but they're probably at least arguably the worst team in the conference. And Minnesota.
Indiana.
Yeah. or what's Illinois or Northwestern?
They've all at least won games in the conference.
So this was all about Michigan State just being poo, and Minnesota's only got to win by 7. So that's basically my only rationale. Go against Rutgers the last couple of years, except Rutgers is actually good this year.
Michigan State's played 2 potential playoff teams and been down a combined 70-0 at one point. No, 90-0. Sorry, 90-0. Jesus Christ. Moving on to the 4:00 slate, or the Big Ten, the big Fox 4:00 slate. USC struggling. Going to California. Both you and the Haas picked this one. I bet you can guess what the Haas picked on this bad boy. Caleb Williams, Heisman hopes. Archie can pop the champagne. They're done. They're already over with. I thought USC would trip up at least once before the Oregon and Washington State. It's already twice. I think I'm against you guys in this one. I almost did pick Cal to cover this because they've not been good, but they've been kind of close to teams. But their defense is really bad, and I think USC can cover the 10.5. But I'll take Cal plus. Well, you guys had them at 11, so plus 11.
So this one kind of had ballsy pick on it a little bit, I think, because Cal's kind of shitty, and it almost seems too easy. But I still went with it because I'm thinking Caleb, his Heisman hopes gone, but in his mind they probably aren't because his numbers are still disgusting. So maybe he wants to go freaking nuts and throw for 5 touchdowns and try to get his name back in that ring. So I'm thinking they win by like 17, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But I mean, I agree that Cal's not good, but they've been like within the spread line-ish areas in a lot of games this year. One I skipped earlier. Sorry for you, Nooner. It was at the very top of the slate, so I missed it when I started scrolling. Oklahoma and Kansas. Oklahoma traveling to Kansas. The spread's down to 9 now, but it was 10, so it's moving in your direction in terms of where the money is. You took Kansas to cover, though, against the undefeated Oklahoma Sooners, who struggled last week with UCF. I wish they would have given that 2-point conversion, because then we could have hit my over, and I could have been 4-1, but was not to be. I think I like Oklahoma I think I like the over again as my pick, though, over 65, because both offenses are pretty nice and the high pace that Oklahoma plays at. But you went ahead and took the points here.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I didn't even look at the over-under. It kind of seemed ballsy territory to me. I know Kansas is actually not a bad team this year, but Oklahoma's got maybe the best win of the year. I guess it could even be us, really. But they have one of the best wins of the year, and it's Kansas. Like most of the time in the past, before last year, before they were actually beating good teams, you would think Oklahoma's going to win by like 30. So to me, it almost seemed ballsy territory. So I picked the less likely outcome and went with Kansas.
Yeah. All right. Back down to the 7:30 games. I need a producer for real. Tennessee going to Kentucky. Both the Haas and I picked this one. We picked the opposite sides here. Joe Milton has been crap in their 2 road games. They blow a 20-7 lead, get shut out in the second half against Bama. Kentucky, though, also struggling right now, back-to-back losses to pretty good teams, Missouri and obviously Georgia. I guess they're okay. Now they're good. But getting 3.5, I don't know if they can beat Tennessee at home, but I think they can cover because Joe Milton's crap on the road. Lower scoring game. Under the 51.5 sounds pretty appealing too, but with Tennessee's pace, it could get higher than that for either team. But I'm going with the Wildcats, and the Haas, though, went with Tennessee to cover this. I don't know why. Apparently he hasn't watched Joe play on the road yet. He had him last week too.
I stayed away from this one. I thought about picking Tennessee just because they seem to score some points, but I don't trust them, like you were saying. Their quarterback plays leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah. All right. Game I picked, one of my weird picks of the week, as I've tried to find games that are different than you guys. James Madison, undefeated at home, finally ranked, finally getting some respect. Taking on Old Dominion, who's not a bad team, 3-1 in their conference. 20.5-point favorites are the old Constitution signers. I took them, though, to cover. They are the best run defense in the country statistically. Guess how many yards they give up per game, Casey, on the ground? 7 games into the year.
Well, since you're having me guess, it's obviously super low. I don't know. 65.
39. Yeah. And Old Dominion, they rely on the run as to keep 160 yards per game on the ground and about 170 through the air. So that's what they rely on offensively. On the road, ain't happening. Dukes are going to shut their ass down, and they will cover. And finally, this game might surprise you who I picked, but both the Haas and I picked this one. Oregon State traveling to Arizona. Now, you know I've been on the Beaver bandwagon a lot of the year, and they're only 3.5-point favorites. Number 11 team against an unranked team on the road, and only 3.5-point favorites. Smells like some ballsy pick territory. Put it in my face. I will go ahead and take the Wildcats, and so is the Haas. They have a huge win against Washington State, 44-6, who beat Arizona State earlier this year. So it's definitely within the realm that they win this outright. Give me the 3.5. Icing on the cake. I'll take it.
Damn, I must have overlooked that one.
Oregon State's defense, too, terrible on the road somehow. Like, they have been really bad on the road. Gave up 40 to Cal and gave up 38 to Washington State.
That is like a perfect layup, ballsy pick.
Oh, yeah.
I overlooked it.
Written all over it. And so we're going to go ahead and take that one. All right. That'll do it with our picks. Now it's time to move on to the playoff discussion. But we can't talk about the playoff without talking about that team up north who, after blew up both Ohio State, I guess, blew up my Penn State preseason pick last week. Does not make me a believer at all. I don't think Penn State can beat Michigan, assuming Michigan isn't a fraud because of this knowing the play thing. Even in Happy Valley there, that could be a little more interesting now. But Casey, obviously, what do you make of that scandal as an Ohio State fan? I mean, I'm sure you've been rock hard for the past 72 hours. Just all this information coming out that clearly shows that they've been cheating. As a day supporter, you got to be liking it too because it gives him a very valid excuse. Like that is I can't tell you how much that would help to know plays. Like when I was able, I played back. I mean, not high ball, but high school ball, and I was an all-conference player. When I knew somebody's play, you know how many times I blew it up? All the damn time. If I knew it was coming just from watching film or I got a coach yelling it to me for whatever reason, yeah, I'm blowing up those plays constantly. Yeah, knowing the plays, knowing our signals is a massive advantage. And doing so blatantly and so stupidly. You're just paying guys with Venmo to go scout these games, and you have your Venmo on public? What the F are you thinking?
Yeah. Oh, I just think about how much it would help on play action when those DNs know that he's not handing it off and he's going to be dropping back. Or the opposite, where you're about to blitz, but it's a run play, so you know not to run past the running back.
Yeah.
To me, I've been laughing every time I see this stuff, but really it pisses me off more than anything because they took the integrity out of the game. It's such bullshit. I mean, the spirit of the
game is not to know what the other team's doing, down to a T, and then just being able to adjust to it.
It's to have the insight and the I guess just the the game so well that you can tell by their formation what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's not actually literally know they do this and it's a freaking slant or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the emotion it makes me is pissed off more than rock hard.
I mean, who doesn't love a good hate fuck though?
Yeah, well.
But seriously though, it pisses me off. It pisses me off because of what it's done, because of how arrogant they've been in the media and things like that. You know, Josh Gaddis a couple years ago saying how soft we were and what. Well, of course we look soft when you freaking know what we're going to do all day. To be that level of cheating and it's blatant that they did. Like, there's no denying that this happened. They have pamphlets this freaking thick. I'm holding my fingers like a couple inches thick of our plays or of our signals. You don't get that in the first quarter as you're watching over, and you just go, what, turn them up and laminate them at halftime or something? No. And these are in the first quarter that they have them. And the guy's sitting there, this low-level staffer. I've heard the great comparison to Moneyball, where it's like, why is he listening to you? Why is that D coordinator listening to this guy who's getting paid $55,000 a year to be a recruiting coordinator? Oh, because he knows what we're doing. It's a joke. The NCAA can't do anything though for at least probably until January at the earliest, but it'll probably be later than that, knowing how they go. But the Big Ten can do something. Do you think they will?
I don't know. I saw an article where it was like the Big Ten's going to have to decide between money and integrity, basically. And what do you think wins out most of the time with these?
Yes, you are right. If Kevin Warren was in there, I'd have no doubt we were going to do whatever the wrong thing was going to happen. With our new guy though, Pettit, it's more. I mean, I don't see how you even let them play the games, but I get that the kids technically didn't do this, but also F them for going to Michigan.
Yeah,
but I mean, and also, like, what if you let them play all these games and they win out, and you ban them from the championship? Like, they're going to claim a national championship without even having to play for one.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I think that they will, and this might happen, is he'll probably get a lot of pressure from all of the athletic directors and coaches and everything that are like pissed off like you and me are, but to an exponential level because they knew it was happening. Like even was it Shiano that?
Yes, the halftime. Yeah,
the halftime interview that said something's going on out here, and we got to figure it out. But there's something going on that's not right.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, and the biggest tell I think is they had some good years, like the 2016 season, they were good. They were good here and there. But then 2020, the COVID season, that was probably one of the worst Michigan teams I've ever seen. They backed out of our game. Then they go into his contract and they limit it. They basically cut it in half and say, you got to win now or you're done. Mm-hmm. And then what happens immediately after that? All of a sudden, they're a playoff team and they look night and day completely different. And why do you think that is? Because they know what the other freaking team is. It's like you don't even have to connect the dots. It's like
it writes itself easily. Yeah, it's not even debatable of the why he did it and that he did it, that he knows about it. Yeah, this guy was paying thousands of dollars for tickets every year on a $55K salary. That's pre-tax, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're not doing that, because if you were, I'd be doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it is interesting to think about what they're going to do. I don't think they end up in the playoff because of this, one way or another, because they can't do it now for sure. And if somebody sees anything like that on the sideline and they keep doing it while they're under investigation, get out of here. Like that's just not going to fly. So I'll be interested to see if this plays in. I mean, obviously against Michigan State it didn't, but that's because Michigan State is freaking trash, and they have a good reason to come out motivated with that. I mean, that's the only thing that scares me. They're going to be motivated to, oh no, we can do it without that. And they probably can't. I mean, they might be able to, but maybe not. It's like the guy taking steroids. Like Barry Bonds didn't need to take steroids, but he went from a really, really good player to maybe the greatest player of all time by doing it. And there's a difference. And when you're playing these other teams, this could be the difference.
Yeah. The Penn State game is going to be really telling. If they go out there and dominate them and win by 3 scores, then I'm going to be a little more worried about our game. But if they struggle and maybe even lose, I'm not. My confidence is freaking sky high that we're going to beat them.
Oh, we should be coming out hair on fire knowing about this stuff.
Yes. Oh my God. Motivation should be at the utmost. Like that whole Day was born on third, thinking he hit a triple, and they cheated their way to beat us. Oh my God, that has to be lighting a fire.
Oh, I'm sure Day for sure is just lit in a fire. All right. All this said, this is a long transition for us to gloat about this, but also get to our 4 playoff teams before we finish this podcast. I'm obviously changing after last week because Penn State was still in mine. Not anymore. I'll still take Georgia just because of the schedule. Like I've been going the whole way here. Just the schedule's crap. Although going to Tennessee could be real interesting. I think it really could. Even though I'm not high on Tennessee, they're such a better team at home and it's a tough place to play. But Georgia, Texas I still think they're the best team in the Big 12. Ewers being out though makes that interesting. But they got another 5-star stud coming in there, and Murphy to back up. I think he'll be able to at least guide them until they play Oklahoma again. And I've messed up and didn't realize that I switched Oregon and Washington's schedules in my head. And I thought Oregon can't make it all the way back because I thought their schedule was too hard because their last 4 games were really difficult. It's actually Washington that has the last 4 games being super difficult. I'm back on. Oregon runs the table and gets revenge on Washington to make it. And that last spot, I think scum's out one way or another, by hook or by crook. We're in now. I'm putting us in finally. Putting the death knell on our season, Casey. Putting my stamp on it. Because whenever I'm positive, that's when we're in trouble.
So I've had us all year we're obviously in Georgia. That's just chalk. I've been having Florida State because of the schedule. I think that's looking more and more likely. And then I was on Texas for the longest time. I'm staying away from Pac-12 because I think they'll just eat each other. So I think I went with Oklahoma last. So I'm gonna stay with them. I don't know what the committee will do if Oklahoma wins out, Texas wins out, and Texas beats Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. I really don't know what they'll do, but
they'll put Texas over them because of the Bama win
and the recency, probably.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I would see happening.
Yeah, but for now, I'm gonna go with Oklahoma, also because of Ewers being out.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well that'll do it for this week, though. F Michigan, you cheating, fucking bastard, scum. Go Bucks. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys! Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.